All right, everybody. Welcome back to the True Crime Cafe tonight. Guys, we're bringing you something. A lot of you guys were already over there with the Salty Sleuth Investigates. My show tonight is brought to you care of um, Salty's channel. We were streaming something there and had some technical issues. So this is the Indiana versus Allen continued from her channel right here. She should be joining us here any moment. Please share this out if you will. Hit that like button when you come in the door. And please subscribe to her channel if you will. And like everything she's got over there, guys. I would appreciate that so very much. Come on in, guys. Get comfortable. We'll get everybody back in here and get this on we go. Come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. Welcome, everybody. All right, all right, all right. I guess I can turn that music off now. And there we go. I'm hoping that Slueth can jump back in here with us, as well as Mr. Joe. I know what it's like. I've been having these crazy problems for a while, on and off. So come on in, everybody, if you will, please. Please, please, please. And thank you. I appreciate you guys supporting Salty's show tonight on her channel. I appreciate those of you that are here now as well. Keep it coming, guys. Come on in, everybody. Again, this is Salty Sleuth Presents, and I think I spelled it wrong. I know I did. I'm looking at it now. Indiana versus Allen. This is just a carryover from her channel because of some technical issues. So come on in, guys. Again, if you get the chance, mods, can you please drop her link so that we can get everybody to actually subscribe to her channel if they haven't and like the video she put up for tonight and anything else she has. She puts a lot of hard work into this stuff, guys, and she definitely deserves that recognition for it. She puts a lot of heart into this case, too. So please, please, if you will, guys, show that support. I appreciate you guys so very much. Come on in, everybody. Let's do it. What am I doing here? Bring that up there. Thank you to the Blue Crew for showing up in here as well. I appreciate you all so very much. We wouldn't, or should not ever do this without y'all. Appreciate you so very much. Come on now. Come on, come on. Thank you, Doodle. Sorry, Paula. There's just technical issues is all it is. Please make sure to hit that like button as you come through that door, guys, so we can get this up and out into that algorithm. While we're waiting on Salty to get herself in here, hopefully Sleuthy and Joe Schmo pop back in over same way. It looks like we got Doodlebug in the house. Pink Peony, thank you for joining us. Kim North of 54th, great to see you. Miss Prying, Paula, like I said, that Blue Crew in the house. Thank you so much for that. Doodlebug. Let's see here. Kitty C313, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you very much. Leslie and Billy, thank you for being here. Yes, you are in the right place, Kitty. There she comes, right there, guys. All right, all right. Welcome back, Salty. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. My phone was turned down. I'm having issues all of a sudden. Did Mercury just go retrograde or some shit?
Very well could have, but like I said, guys, Mr. Buckman, good to see you. Let me finish checking everybody in real quick. Andy
Go
Rose,
ahead. You go ahead.
Jaded, welcome back. Sussbusters, great to see you all. Mystic Butterfly, welcome. Miss Jules, good to see you tonight. Elizabeth Lander, welcome. Well, Miss Paula was just popping in over there when we went down. True Seeker, good to see you. K-Dips, welcome back. Josie West, great to have you here. All of you guys, again, Aaron B, good to see you. Kim North of 54th, always a pleasure. Like I said, we got everybody back almost. We got to get Sleuthy and Joe Schmo back in here. Captain Jenks, welcome back. And again, guys, like the title says, Salty Sleuth presents in Indiana versus Allen. This is just a carryover from her channel due to some technical issues. So again, everybody, please, if you get a chance, that link is in the chat. I need you all, if you will, to jump on that link, go over there, like the video that was supposed to go up for tonight, or that was up for tonight. Subscribe if you haven't, and show a little bit of love over there, because she works really hard on this stuff and puts a lot of heart and soul in this, guy. So please, please, if you will, I appreciate that. Dragonfly, hello and welcome. It's great to have you all in here tonight for this. I appreciate that very much. Walt Harris, what's going on? Good to have you all here. Butterfly 71, welcome back. It looks like we got almost everybody back in here and a few more. I just got to get shoot. I wonder if I could just drop the link to Salty in her Twitter. That would work. Oh, there she is right there. Okay.
She here? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. And thank you, Dago, for jumping over like that. It came back up. I got it to come back on. I just rebooted the computer, turned it back on, and I was able to get in there and at least shut down the live. But yeah, when I walked back in the room, the cat was like peeking out from behind there. Normally, it's not. I don't let it get up there. I'm like, no, and it gets down. It
said,
goes
Mom,
to
what
other parts. But yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
There's the link in the chat, Sleuthy, if you want to bring that or click that and jump back in here. I don't know where Joe went, and I hope that because he had dropped off before that even happened.
He came up. He came right back, right at the end when I got back into the stream. He came back on stage, so he knows we were coming over.
Got you. Oh, absolutely, Kitty. If you find Joe, let him know we're in here, and as soon as he jumps in here, he can pop right back up here. No problem. The link is right there, Slueth. Once you grab it, we'll just pick up where we left off. Like I said, that was a great video, by the way. I love that video.
Well, I DM'd you the link to that real quick, but I also DM'd you the link to where Turbo Time goes over with the blood spatter expert from the 3-day hearings.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's the only 3 things I've sent right now.
Awesome. No worries. It doesn't take long for us to pull it back together, guys. No big deal. Technical issues are a deal. I'm telling you, I have them all the time.
Technical issues, Lord. Now I've experienced and shit.
Like I said, I know because I get them all the time. I usually get lucky enough where Mama Bear can back me up and she can run it when I can't. But that's what we do here, guys. There you go. Welcome back, Sleuthy.
Thanks. I thought it was me, and then I came back and it was just you, Dago. And I was like, but it was like you couldn't even see me. So I was like, I don't even think he can see me. Because he's on his own thing.
Yeah, it was just me. It was weird.
You've left me on your stream before, so it's payback.
We're even now. Thank you, Kim North. Yeah, everybody, guys, if you notice the title, it says, I spelled it wrong because I'm a dipshit, but it says Salty Slueth presents Indiana versus Allen. Please understand that's what this is about. We're just carrying it over to here. If you get a chance, click her link. We're right here. Doodle popped it up there. All you gotta do is click that, run over there real quick, like the video she put up that we were on tonight. Subscribe if you haven't. That way she gets what she deserves for this, because she puts a lot of work into this, guys. And I really want to see her get what she should for this, because she's got a lot of heart and soul in this entire case. So please, if you will, thank you guys for subbing to her. I see you guys doing it right now. You guys are amazing. I appreciate that so very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes. Absolutely. We will make it work one way or another. That's for sure. Congratulations, Ms. Andy. 4 months. That's awesome.
Nice.
Happy Dagoversary to you. All right.
Nice.
Excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and continue. Let me find the spot in this video where we were. I think
past that.
Yeah, Mike was talking. Yeah, we did go past that, didn't we? We were about right here with the letters from the
yeah, from kids at school and stuff is where they were.
Yep, yeah, there we are. Okay, good stuff. Let me know how the audio is, everybody.
Spirit was always so smiling and happy. You are a very good swimmer, and I won't forget that. And she was so sweet and nice. Knowing she's gone is really hard. I miss her so much.
Nothing's ever going to bring him back. It's our job to fight, to keep it out there, to do whatever it takes to find this person or persons that has done this to them. This is our job now.
Full time.
Yes, it is.
Never ends.
Think about it from the time you get up to the time you go to bed.
Libby dreamed of becoming a science teacher. She was also interested in solving crimes or finding cures. Her curiosity in the sciences was serious business. She attended several classes up the road at Purdue University. Not far from here, the grandparents of 13-year-old Abby Williams are also heartbroken. Papa and Mima, as Abby called them, keep her belongings just where she left them.
Her things are still here. We just can't. We can't erase her from our lives, and we don't want to. We treasure her coat hanging on the coat hook and her shoes on the shoe rack, and her bedroom is just the way she left it. Because she may have walked out the door, but she's here with us.
The path to cracking this case has involved interviews with more than 500 people.
The lead investigator and his team are not lacking motivation. Their daily motto, today is the day, and it starts every morning with a prayer.
As we gather together today for our work that we've been assigned to, let's pray. As the officers say, today is the day.
That's their motto. Among this team, State Police First Sergeant Jerry Holman is the lead investigator.
Today's the day. Today's the day we're going to get closer to the end. Today's the day we're going to get closer to getting justice for Abby and Libby. We have all worked tragic cases, nothing like this. I can't even put anything close to this case.
And since day one, it's been nonstop.
Well, there's not a day, probably not an hour that goes by that I don't think about something.
From 20-hour days to sleepless nights, there's one goal.
And when you see the pictures of those two girls, it puts it in perspective.
He's led a team of hundreds of investigators, all trying to find the killer. But tracking down thousands of leads hasn't come easy.
It's a roller coaster ride. I mean, you're up, you think you got something good, and then for some reason it's eliminated or whatever. And that's tough on anybody. There's no doubt that we've been faced with a ton of obstacles, and we maneuver through those. We've been faced with numerous barriers, and we just have to bust through them. I can't imagine what they're going through, and even talking to them, and you can see the raw emotions on their face, and they want to help us, and they have. They've been so cooperative.
And when it gets tough, he goes back to that saying.
It's definitely tough. I mean, I've choked up a little bit. I need to be here for Abby and Libby because I'm going to find who did this, and then we are going to hold them responsible for their actions.
Hundreds of investigators from state police, the Delphi City Police Department, the Carroll County Sheriff's Department, and the FBI are involved in the case. They all have just one common goal. That's to find the killer.
Call 6 investigates Paris LaBelle. At this moment, there's something that you can do. The FBI wants you to take a closer look at the people around you. Report to them any changes in behavior or appearance. If it seems odd or strange to you, they want you to let them check it out.
If something just wasn't right, if that person started abusing drugs, if their sleep patterns have changed, any indicators like that taken on its own doesn't mean anything. But when you put into a broader context of the timing and the location of that individual may be pertinent. And I would ask the public for their help. We need that help.
The old Monon High Bridge is in bad shape. It is not meant for people to cross.
Can I stop this a second?
Went up a couple of days ago for repair.
Yes, ma'am.
I went from like, oh, this is like so sweet and sad to just absolute blood boiling because Jerry Holman, first of all, like all I keep thinking, like as they're talking, is what were you doing then? I don't understand. Like you're saying these things, so like what were you doing? So now we have this FBI guy explaining behaviors that would be incredibly suspicious and should be phoned in, and then we have one of these alternate suspects who's displaying almost all of them and nobody followed up. Like I'm not understanding.
I don't either. And
that'd be a reason for it. That's all I
as soon as I'm right there with you, because when I was reviewing this earlier today, I was driving and I had this picked out to review this morning. So I'm listening to it and I was right there with you. And then he comes on and I'm like, man, now I got questions. And I'm literally, guys, when I'm reviewing shit in my car, I stop the video and I act like I'm questioning the person. Like, what did you just say? Yeah. What do you mean? Explain this to me, because I know you said this and that last time. And I'm like going off in the car. And then I have to call Dago and like I have to go off some more, you know?
So like I'm thinking about, and I'm looking at the timeline right now and there's stuff in here that I haven't added. So they're telling us to, look out for all these things. And anyway, on the 17th of February, Brad Holder was interviewed for the first time. Okay.
Right.
Then on the 19th, 2 days later, Patrick Westfall's interviewed for the first time and only time, apparently, until 2023.
Right.
Then on the 23rd, so 4 days later, Keegan Kline goes and factory resets that Galaxy that had a lot of the nasty shit on it. The 25th, he returns home from Las Vegas and they do the search warrant at Tony Kline's house. Then the 28th, 3 days later, and actually, let me not skip this, but the 27th is when Keegan calls ISP and says, oh, hey, I have another iPhone that I found on top of the microwave that you guys didn't grab in this huge sweep of my house.
That's crazy.
The following day, on February 28th, Brad Holder plays hooky at work and doesn't go into work.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. You just hit on a couple of things that I hate to do this to you. Can you back up and start that from the beginning one more time?
So.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. The
February
17th,
gotcha.
Brad Holder's interviewed for the first time.
Yep.
Then on the 19th, Patrick Westfall's interviewed.
So the girls were found the 14th.
Yep.
So the 17th, we have Holder's first interview. Okay.
Yep. And then the 19th is Patrick Westfall's interview.
Yep.
And then the 23rd, Keegan Kline factory resets his Galaxy phone.
Mm-hmm.
Then on the 25th, him and Tony Kline got back from Las Vegas, and that search warrant is done at his house where they collect all the stuff.
Right.
2 days later, on the 27th, Keegan calls ISP and says, oh, I found another iPhone that was sitting on my microwave or whatever that you guys just didn't get, and hands it over to them, but he deleted a bunch of apps. Okay, that's the 27th.
Right.
On the 28th, Brad Holder plays hooky at work and decides just not to go in. How many days are in February? 28? Yeah. The next day, the following day, the 1st of March, he plays hooky again from work and buys a new truck. That's also the same day that Tony Liggett puts in a report that no more leads are required for Brad Holder. So the same day that no more leads are required, Brad Holder also doesn't show up for work again and buys a new truck.
Yeah, I always thought that was interesting to me.
And then it was 5 days later on March 6th that Ron Logan's house was searched.
So the first thing, and I never realized this, the first thing that was done was February 17th. Holder was interviewed, at which they lost, obviously.
Yep.
Wow, the first one.
So they're found on the 14th. The autopsies are on the 15th. The 16th, they do a warrant for 11036 West Bicycle Bridge Road.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the 16th. On the 17th, Holder's interviewed. Betsy Blair does her sketch.
Do we know what prompted the search on Bicycle Lane or Road or whatever it was?
I'm sure somebody else does. I believe that was, I don't want to be wrong, but there was like a boy. I don't want to be wrong.
I don't either. That because I only know a little bit about it, and I actually just was reviewing something the other day, or I was reading an article, I think, and I was dropping. I have a Discord, but I'm the only one in there. It's like my virtual office. I just drop shit in there. Right. So I dropped some links in there for me to review, and I think it was in one of the articles I read that I saved that the search at Bicycle Lane, and I don't really know whose property that was. I know the Weber property was searched, and there was another property searched.
What day was Weber's property searched?
Do you know that, Sleuthy? Because I don't know right offhand.
What was the question?
What day Weber's property was searched? Do you have that?
That might have been it. That might have been.
Is that
might have been?
Because I thought. Bridge Road.
Okay.
Okay. So whose property is that ends at the Monon High Trail Bridge, or the bridge itself? That piece of property back there that the private drive goes to, who owns that piece of land?
I thought
Wasn't that property? Wasn't that property searched as well? I think it was. There was 2 other properties of interest, and one of them was the Weber farm, and
I think that's Weber, and then
I
Bicycle
think it
Bridge was
is.
somebody else. It was a
It's
boy that was
somebody
like,
else, right.
he was like a boy that was home, like watching the house for the parents or something like
Yeah.
that, and had guns. I can't remember the kid's name.
Yeah, and I don't really. I'll have to look into it more when we go to presenting where all they did search and suspects they went through to before they got to Richard Allen. That is going to be a part of it. So I got to do some more research
But all
on
their
that
shit
as
is
well.
gone. All their interviews are
That's
gone. Like they're everything
yeah.
that makes
So
no sense.
so apparently, allegedly, that what the police have said. This is what law enforcement is, well, from what I understand, have said. Wasn't it Holder's interview? Was the one the Orion system or whatever it was they were using accidentally recorded over, like it was set to record over every so many days. So as you're doing an open investigation, you're working with a system that's automatically recording over all your stuff. That's unacceptable to start with.
Hold on, Salty, real quick. Joe, the link is in chat. I just dropped it in chat for you, Joe. Come on back up.
But I just mean, like, FBI sat there, was like, if anybody like misses work or their sleep habits are
changes their
fucked up. This
behavior.
man's going to the gym at 3:00 in the morning and again at 5:50 in the morning and pulling out of work and selling his car and buying a new truck, getting rid of his phone,
You're
getting a new
right.
phone, putting down his dog that he's had for like 10 years. Like this man was doing the most.
He's exhibiting all the behaviors you're sitting there telling everybody to watch for.
Exactly.
And you know,
the
young
gym
guy,
thing
bridge guy, I don't know.
The
Father,
gym thing
son.
really caught my attention, guys. I'll tell you that. Why the hell would anybody go to the gym every 2 hours?
Well, like Andy said, that's a good place to go shower, and you can get an alibi. I was working out.
Yes.
But I hope I don't know, are there cameras in I don't go to the gym. Are there cameras in gyms? I mean, I'm sure there are today, but this is 2017, so, or,
Even
well,
if there
20, I don't know
was,
when that.
I doubt they were there 5 years late. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
whatever
exactly.
wasn't done can no longer be done, you know?
Exactly. This is true. How much lost evidence I mean, I get out there's not a ton of cameras, and the trails didn't have cameras at the time. There was no trail cams, allegedly, nothing going on except people wandering around with cameras in the woods.
I would like to know, I'd like to see a logbook from then to see who, because typically you have to sign in when you go to a gym. At least I always did when I went. Okay, you have to sign in the system or whatever.
I didn't. I would scan my key tag to unlock the door, but I would never sign in.
Right, but I'd like to see if there's anybody that was there that remembered seeing him in that gym any of those times.
Yeah, you would think that they would, if they know that's where he was, or they have indications he was there. You go and you see, does anybody see this guy here during this time?
Right.
He also says that he despises Valentine's Day. Which is the day that they were found, which is also the day he went to the gym multiple times. It was the only time he went to the gym multiple times. Like he went. Now, could he have been there from 3:13 to 5:50? I guess so. But that's a really long time. Like even people that I know that go to the gym, like that's a really long time.
Yeah, that's a long workout. Yeah. So let me ask you this: if you go and you swipe your thing, and do you have to even you open the door and you let it shut, and you turn around and go back and get in your car? Is that possible?
And you don't have to swipe. Like when I would only need to swipe to go in. So like there would be a log of me entering, but there wouldn't be a log of me leaving because it was.
What if somebody else? Right. What if somebody else took his card and did it for him?
That's what I'm saying. Could anybody walk up at that and swipe that card, or I don't know if this is would you swipe to get into the door, or is there something you swipe once you're inside? I don't know how that works. I don't go to the gym, so.
It also depends on where you live. So like the place that I went to was a smaller place. And the reason, because like my whole thing was like, if I'm going to use it wasn't a card. It was a key tag that I had on my keychain.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I'm going to scan this, then like, I don't have to sign in. But the reason why is because these key tags are not to like you specifically. They're they have like 100 key tags. This is just an example. They have like 100 key tags that will open the door. When you sign up for your membership, they give you the key tag. It works.
Yeah.
And it just always works. And so, like, even when I stopped going, like, I don't even live there anymore. I still have my key tag. I could give my key tag to my ex-husband. He could use the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it still
That's what I'm
works. And he
saying.
only needs to do it when nobody's there. Like, he can go in and he only has to scan it. But if I would, like, they would tell you, like, don't scan your key tag and like let other people walk in with you. Like, if there's somebody hanging outside and they're like, oh, I forgot my key tag, like, don't just let them in.
Right,
And
right.
but if you
Which,
were to
and
bring a
Jen,
friend or whatever, like, there would be no way to track that person.
yeah.
Exactly.
Well, Joe says that supposedly Brad Holder gym logs that McClellan entered as part of the state's motion in limine. I have to go back and review these motions. It's been a minute since I've looked at any of them. And there's so many between Idaho and this case. Thank God it's not been busy in Idaho lately, but there's a lot of when these documents are filed, there's a lot in those documents. And remembering what you actually read. So I got to go back and review some of these as we talk about them. Because it's hard to remember what is in all the documents, and like when we do a review of the Franks motion, when we get there, that's going to take a minute. I'm sorry, but even Judge Gull says she couldn't read that shit. But I read it. I'm like, lady, why couldn't you read it? That's like your literal job. It wasn't my job, but I read it. But it was your job. And you sat right there in court and said you just didn't have time, or I forgot what she said. She just didn't read it. But here we are having a hearing about something I haven't read yet. But I'm going to tell you all about it. That's weird. There's just too many. I don't like coming out of the gate, and I never did come out of the gate with this case thinking there was something nefarious going on. I didn't come out on. I honestly had a hard time believing the arrest 5 years later. Really, when I found out it was a local guy, I was floored. I was like, I don't understand how nobody recognized that guy. After all, I've thought about it for 5 years. I'm living many, many, many miles away, wondering how nobody in this tiny town recognizes that guy on that bridge. Then I had to wonder, really, was it a drifter, a passerby? But to get to that location, you need to know about it. You need to be.
That sketch was up all over Delphi for 5 years. And that man worked at the local pharmacy and hung out in the bars and did this and that. Not one time did anybody say, it's you.
And if you're looking so hard at all these other people.
Oh, shit. 11:22, guys. Hang on. I'll be right back.
Glitch time.
Don't move.
We won't. We'll ride it out. Dago's got some weirdo stuff that happens at 11:22.
That sounds like somebody did some kind of ode magic on
I know.
computers.
We don't know what's wrong with him. He's been doing it for a while now. He glitches out, and sometimes there'll be two of him.
I would like make sure that he's chatty like me, so he goes on and on. But I was gonna say I would not be live when this would happen. Like, what if someone's hacking him? Not trying to freak anybody out, but like we were saying, they could have, like, okay, so Nick McClellan hands over Brad Holder's gym records. Well, him going to the gym at 3:13 in the morning doesn't mean he wasn't there when the girls were killed.
It doesn't prove,
and him being there at 5:50 doesn't mean that the girl, you know what I mean? Like,
and
that means
does it prove
literally
that it was
nothing. If
Brad
anything,
Holder?
Yeah, if anything, it shows that he was trying to have an alibi because he didn't do it any other days.
Yeah, you got to show a little more. I mean, if you're going to pinpoint this guy's movements according to your timeline, you need to make sure that he's there and not just a swipe of a card that is the only proof you got of him being there. That's kind of like everybody, wondering if that's the particular white Elantra we see in that leaked video. We don't know. I don't think we'll ever know for sure. It's too freaking grainy. So How do we know that Brad Holder was actually there? I need a little more to tell me he was there. And I try to base a lot of this case on evidentiary facts, and there's not a lot to me when I've really looked at the evidence alone. If you peel away everything else, all the drama, all the alternate people and the alternate things that happen, and look at the direct evidence that they claim they do have, they don't have, I don't know. I would have a hard time you'd have a hard time convincing me Richard Allen's guilty.
The
If
problem is they don't have like they only have what they
Don't
gathered. So
don't
like
have anything.
so like Elvis saying that he spit on the girls, right?
Oh God,
yes,
Well,
yes.
if they didn't like swab whatever area he may have spat on, then they wouldn't know if he actually did. Like there would be no way for them to confirm that other than him saying it, and it's a statement against interest, right?
well,
So
if they go to process these girls and they find, I would hope, you want to believe that everybody's good at their job. So if he actually, it depends on how much it was, I guess, and where it landed, and I don't know, all
yeah,
these
like they're not
stupid
going to swab
things.
your whole body, you know?
So
Like what if it
right, I
was
mean, when the coroner, they're supposed, and then doing the autopsy, they're supposed to look at every inch of that body.
Yeah.
But if there was something there, is that where the DNA came from? Does it not match Fields? But Fields knows that somebody did spit on those girls. He's a crazy ass. We don't really know with him. He's a wild card. I call him the wild card.
Do you have a
So
date, Sluthy, when he made that statement? Do you have a date on
I,
that by chance or no?
it's in the
which
it's in
state?
the filings because he said it to his sister.
I'm just trying to add that to the timeline that I just wrote
Yeah,
down
I
real
Which
can't
quick.
remember right off hand
If you
what
got to
date
look,
the
don't worry
statements.
about it.
Yeah, it would be the date the statements were made to Elvis's sister that she claims that he said that to her.
on the 14th of
And
February.
then it wasn't it. Okay, it was
What
that
day?
same day.
It was the same
So
day, and we don't even
so
know if it was
wait.
where the girls were found.
The police interviewed Fields the same day they were found.
No, he made the comments to his sister.
The
Oh,
same
Did you
day.
ask me two different questions?
right. I'm sorry. I might have.
So he told the sister about that he was on the bridge with two girls or two other people, and the two girls were, and the sister hadn't even heard about the girls being missing or
Yeah.
anything. So this was on the 14th. It could have been at 7 o'clock in the morning, hours before the girls were even found.
Right. Okay.
Yes,
And he
definitely.
tried to give
You
her a
don't.
blue jacket, a bloody blue jacket.
He tried to give her a blue jacket, and she said to him, "No, I have my own jacket." According to her statement,
And
and
was the
those are
other
very,
question when he
yeah.
made that
And so
comment
then
to the
so the officer that interviewed Elvis, and then that took him home or whatever, and Elvis goes back to the car and says to the officer, "What if you find my DNA and I can explain it?" Didn't he say that to one of the cops?
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Okay,
that
so
was
isn't that enough cause right there to be like, what? Why would you say that? I need you to get back in my car right now. We got more questions.
well.
What
I
was his
believe Elvis
alibi?
said too was that they got search warrants. Like this is the problem: is they had probable cause signed by a judge for various warrants for various things and people, including like there was one about like phone records or something about somebody saying that they had killed the girls and used a gun and a knife,
Mm-hmm.
um, where it either just was never executed or it was, and nobody knows where it went to, what happened after that,
But see,
because
it
everything's
makes
getting
me, I
funneled to
have to go
unified
back to
commission. That's
what,
the problem.
right. Why would you hone in on Elvis Fields and was that okay? Was he just because he was connected to Holder, right? Because he was following Holder on the Facebook
Well,
and was all in
I
love with Holder and like idolized him, I think, and like I like the kind of like Holder did with Westfall. In
I
my
think it
opinion,
was
that's what was
separate.
happening.
I
Okay,
think those were separate. I think that so what prompted Elvis's sister came to Delphi like 2 weeks after the girls were found to tell them what all he had said to her. Her and her husband went to
Yeah.
Delphi and said, my brother came home on this day and said A, B, and C.
Right.
And it was then that the other investigators were trying to then tie Elvis to Holder, as in, okay, well, now we got to go out and figure out if what this person said could be true. Does he
Right.
have any tie to Delphi? Why would he say that? What two people would he have been with? And that's when they started piecing them together, and then Messer and stuff. But she came forward with her husband like 2 weeks after the girls were found, and then had to like hound them down because nothing had happened. And she got the lady that was working for ISP, and she's around, that person.
Yeah.
The one that worked for like Homeland Security or whatever, that helped her get that lie detector test done, which she passed. And then they interviewed Elvis multiple times. And so another thing that I don't understand is them telling, so Elvis got that lawyer. His friend got him a lawyer. And after all of everything, the spit comment, the lying about where he was, the alibi was a lie, the various other comments that he made to the sister and this and that, the connection with Holder. And, you know, they bring up Dougie, and one of the things in like the Frank's memo was like, okay, so like they had this friend Dougie who was someone that they would like get to do their bidding or whatever, like all the time. And this guy would just do it. Well, one could say that that's bullshit, but literally on one of the interviews that Patrick Westphal did, I specifically asked about Dougie, and he, like, his whole face lit up. Like he he knew exactly who I was talking
Was that
about.
in the first interview or the second?
It had to have been the second, because the first one was only a call, I believe. So the second one where his actual face is on the screen.
You're talking about over there, what's his name's channel?
Sleuth Intuition, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm going to have to go back and re-review. I didn't even realize you would ask a question, because I was probably in the car listening and not paying attention to what was on the screen. So, okay.
So like
that's interesting.
So the friend Dougie's like an actual person. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that they considered Elvis the same type of friend. So you have all these things, and then the lawyer's like, he's not going to take a polygraph. And then you as a police officer, you're saying, well, if he doesn't take a polygraph, then we're not going to ever be able to rule him out as a person of interest.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, well, like, that's what a lawyer should do. She's like, oh, well, he's not doing it. He's not doing that lie detector test. Goodbye. But then he was never a suspect after that anyway. Like, they literally hung up from that phone call and then said, we don't need any more leads on Elvis. Do what? You just said the complete opposite to his lawyer.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that if these guys right now
you get probable cause on literally anybody, like,
yeah, but there's enough reasonable doubt been cast in this case.
Oh my God, did you find the part about Dougie?
I have all this stuff uploaded.
No way. Oh, check it out.
I was gonna say, God damn, that was fast.
Yeah, I have a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, he's pretty quick about it. Because we've been talking about these interviews, Dago and I have.
I have so much. My computer's like sweating every time I come near it because it's got so much stuff uploaded into it from this. So
yeah, I asked him about that. Then I asked him if he was part of Sons of Odin, and he told me no. And it's interesting. Oh no. Well, I asked about the Sons of Odin, then I asked if he was part of the American Guard, and he said no, there's no American Guard around here. Well, anyway, then there was a picture on Brad Holder's Facebook of these guys like outside with like
yep.
What are they, like torches?
Yep.
Yes.
And he literally was looking at it in a different interview, and he's like, that looks like American Guard. But I don't know what that's not Brad Holder. And I thought, what the fuck would Brad Holder put random picture?
Right, and we've got numerous pictures of I'm sitting outside, and all of a sudden it smells like something's burning. So it's got to be. It's not like wintertime. No fireplaces around here. It's crazy. But shit, I just lost my train of thought with that.
The
But
American card. So like, what?
yeah,
So why did you deny that it could have been like you
right.
said?
And we've got a
American
bunch of
card.
pictures of him and Holder doing various things.
Yeah.
Holding. I don't know if they're rituals, but they're rituals. They're something. They're doing things, you know, and they're holding things, and they're literally doing things together. And it's them, and there's groups of them, and Messers in these pictures, and Holders in them. And but go ahead, Dago. You can But that was the other suspect. But it's just, you know, in Casey Anthony case, when they walked in with that reasonable doubt, that was a totally made up theory based on what their conversations with, I don't know, with Casey, I guess. These are different because this is stuff that was actually investigated. And a lot of what the defense is now pulling from came out of the prosecution's own investigation. So it's not like it was just pulled out of thin air and randomly, you know, let's throw this in there, you know.
Right.
And so it's always made it, now you got to show me the evidence telling me it's not that. Also show me you got evidence to get this guy. You know, I don't see.
Yeah.
It's hard to trust what I'm seeing because it's not being done in the light, period.
Right. Annie, Brad Holder is the father of the boyfriend. Yes. Not the, Ron Logan was the landowner. Brad Holder is the father of the boyfriend to one of the girls. So yeah, do you want me to continue with this video, Sluthi, or pull that interview up? Can you hear me?
I think she dropped down. Joe, you're still here, aren't you?
Yep, I'm here.
Welcome back, Joe. Sluthi said I'll be right back in the back chat.
Yeah. So Joe, there was a comment you made in chat a second ago. Where did it go?
It is right. Hold on a minute here. Where'd it go? Where'd you go, Joe? Well, I know you're up here now, but hold on. This one here about Kevin Murphy, or this one about Elvis being a Vinlander?
Oh, I didn't see that one. Okay, I'm just having to go back through chat. It was one about the defense argument. Where'd it go?
That one right there about the probable cause thing?
It might have been that. No, I don't think it was. I'll find it in a minute.
That's fine. I don't see anymore. Hold on. Absolutely, Paula.
I might have misread it.
It could be that one. Even if they didn't have probable cause for Fields, why wouldn't you obtain it? And I do agree with that. Not to mention the other piece of affidavits that you could get based on that. Agreed. That statement alone should have shut the whole thing down right there around him.
Well, it makes you wonder, why did they swab him for DNA? Did it not match DNA from that scene? I keep going back to that. I can't get. I understand not every single crime scene is going to have some DNA, but in 2017, things are getting sideways in the woods. I feel like there's going to be a little DNA. Shit, even there was a little DNA in Koberger's case. We don't know whose it is yet, but there's some. So there's always some, and they allegedly have some, but who the hell is it? If it's nothing has come down in court filings about much. Joe, have you heard a lot about DNA in this case in court filings?
Or anything?
Almost nothing. There is almost no DNA.
Wow.
Exactly. And if they do, it's got to be very little.
Whose do you think it would be then that they have? I mean, I don't think it's Allen. I don't think it's him.
Well, so when you talk about the DNA testing, so 2017, 2024, 2023, advancements are always made. Now, we've heard going through the Koberger case, and I've talked to a missing girl's mother, and the more you test that DNA, the more you break it down, the more exactly it becomes degraded. You don't want to continue to do it. You won't have any left.
Right.
So you have to be very selective about when you test that DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Right, especially in this girl's case that I'm referring to, because there's very little there, and so anytime there's it could be a possible link, they have to be pretty careful, right, about any further testing, not to compromise what they do have. So I wonder how little they do actually have, and how much technology has advanced to help them. It's still, if it has, you don't have any indication who that belongs to yet.
Right.
And I don't know why. Did you get Ron Logan's DNA sample? I would be curious. Did you get everybody's DNA sample that you looked into? As I believe in one of the articles about, I don't know if it was Nations or one of the other guys, I've got to pull that up. They swabbed them for DNA to compare to Delphi. And I saved it because I think it's in my folder, the DNA Delphi, because I got this whole thing about the DNA Delphi. So I think it's in there. I'm going to have to go make sure. But I was like, so why are they swabbing this guy as part of their looking into him for Delphi if they don't have DNA in Delphi?
Right.
So I don't know.
What do you think? What do you think about the DNA, Joe, specifically?
So here's the thing with the DNA. So the third-party hearings started out after the motion to suppress the confessions on Thursday. The hearings were all about the motion in limine.
Yeah.
So McClelland's argument was that the threshold is the defense needs to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they have direct DNA evidence of a third party on the crime scene.
Okay.
That was McClelland's argument. But they don't have direct DNA evidence that Richard Allen was there.
Right.
At the scene of the crime. So how do you get off saying that the third party defense needs to prove that there was a third party by direct DNA evidence when the defendant hasn't even been proven by direct DNA evidence to be on scene?
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Welcome, Mama. Wow. That's a good point. It's a really good point, sir. Jenny just said that Becky said that she asked the detectives why it hadn't been sent, and they said, we'll see. That was before Allen was arrested, though. I have an interview with Becky as well. Wow. Okay. That's true too. Burden of proof falls on the prosecution, not the defense. Didn't the onus theory come straight from the prosecution originally? Is that true though? Let me, because I can't remember. Is that where that Odinism thing came from initially? Was the prosecution?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Okay, because see, here's the thing about it: that when this crime first occurred, there was, talk about a weird scene. And then years later, then the Franks motion comes out, right? But what it is there was an FBI task force that did investigate the Odinism angle.
Right.
And the guys that we were just talking about, all of them are Odinist or true, whatever they want to identify with, that's what they are. So it all, like I said, all of that came from their own investigation. But they claim there's nothing to tie those guys to the crime scene. So that's where we are. I got to mute out for a second. My kid needs something to eat, so I'll be back in just a second.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Interesting. Well, let me finish playing this video for her. It's almost done anyway, and then we'll get back to that, and then Slueth will probably be back. Everything good and clear for you, Joe? Everything's working right over here with me?
All good.
Okay, good stuff. Just making sure everybody can hear clear.
Pairs. People dare to walk on the wooden crossing. Indiana's second highest bridge is not an official part of Delphi's 10 miles of trails. That may change in the future after extensive fixes.
She smiled all the time. All the time.
The mother who shares what justice will look like for Abby and Libby.
She was always in the middle of something, and it was always in a minute. Give me another minute. I'll do it in a minute.
And what you can do in just 60 seconds that could change the face of the investigation. The reward for information leading to an arrest, more than $230,000.
And on RTV6, we now return to an RTV6 News special, Delphi Daughters, the untold story of Abby and Libby.
Abigail Joyce and Liberty Rose Lynn were typical teenagers. Libby often used the phrase, in a minute, especially when asked to finish her homework or finish a chore. In 1 minute, 150 million emails are sent worldwide. 250 babies are born. There are nearly 4 million searches on Google, all in 1 minute. Now the victims' families are hoping you give the girls 1 minute.
So that's why we've asked everybody to give her that other minute.
Do it now before something horrific happens again.
To look at this stuff, to think, this guy put behind bars so he can't hurt anybody else.
You could put a stop to this.
There's never going to be true justice for us because you can't bring the girls back.
You could bring closure to this portion of the case.
To close your eyes and listen to that voice. But if you can stop him, that's the best we can do.
One minute, a personal plate.
Brad Holder is 5'4", Paula. We just clarified that a little bit ago, but 5'4". He's just a little thing. Or wait, no, Brad Holder. You're asking, I'm talking. Richard Allen's 5'4". Sorry, Brad Holder. I cannot remember. I think he's between 5'6" and 5'8". I could be wrong, but I think that's what that was. Because we found that out a while back. We will go back and look though. Richard Allen is 5'4". Brad Holder, I cannot clarify for you right now, but I will.
To you. Now let's talk about Abby. Her favorite question, is there anything I can do to help? It's that caring and joyful spirit that lets her mother smile. Anna Williams shared her passion for photography with her daughter Abby. The 13-year-old also loved arts and crafts, helping build this birdhouse and knitting these hats for newborns with her Aunt Maggie.
She loved to make things to give people. She loved to just be around people.
That included her volleyball teammates. She also planned on playing softball for the first time this year. Grandpa Cliff was so excited, he drove down from Michigan to take her shopping for the new gear.
This is Abby's kitty Bongo.
Yeah, and she named him.
Yes, she did.
And Abby convinced her grandparents and mom, who was allergic to cats, to let the stray stay. And now the family's pain, immeasurable, following the murder of Abby and her friend Libby near the bridge they both loved. Every morning when that sun rises, how do you keep going? In light of all of this?
It's the stories and the pictures. It's the funny stuff. You know, the things that we've said and done throughout the years.
So for you, what does justice look like?
Justice will be that deep breath that we get to take, where my friends' children are sleeping in their own beds again, and people don't worry about their children playing outside. Justice in law enforcement. We believe in law enforcement. We believe in the FBI and everybody else that's been on this case. That's where the justice will come from.
Abby's family was looking forward to softball season. Her mother, her grandparents, and members of her stepdad's family all played softball.
It's amazing.
Welcome, Dandy.
The global grief with Delphi's daughters and the heartfelt messages.
Somebody out there knows. I'm just asking them, please make the call.
Smart.
Take a look at the purple and teal ribbons. And when night falls, Delphi glows. Orange bulbs light up the city. The goal? To let them shine until Abby and Libby's killer is off the streets. The murders are drawing international attention, with letters arriving from around the world.
The girl's death hits close to my heart, as I have a granddaughter who's 13. Colorado, Lakeland, Florida, the Netherlands, Australia, from Indianapolis. Although I do not know anyone in Delphi, I would like to give the families this money. These are what we're getting. Denison, Texas, Lafayette, California, Lockport, Louisiana. It's amazing, isn't it? Our hearts go out to you in your time of sorrow. We have children and know how hard this would be if it were our child. Oh, I'd love to meet them. Thank them for the prayers and the support sent with loving memories of your little girl. It's affected lots of kids, a whole school. They all made cards. Here's a Fort Myers, Florida. No, we don't know these people. We've had a couple from England. It's quite humbling. They think we're this special.
Nearly 3,000 people call Delphi home. It's about the same size as New Palestine, Pittsburgh, or Sheridan. The Wabash and Erie Canal drew business and the early settlers. Delphi became a city in 1866. There's no questioning the outpouring of support for the families. Storefront posters of the suspect are everywhere. There have been multiple fundraisers and vigils. When we return, the dream for Delphi's daughters.
Our community is going through a lot of this with us. So it's their love, support, prayers are what's helping us get through this.
And the Mower Shop in Fishers.
The legacies of Abby and Libby will not only play out in the hearts of those who love them, but also among those who raised money through fundraisers that will help build a sports complex, including a park and softball fields in memory of the girls.
I see beautiful things for our park, for our families, for our community to be involved in for years and years to come.
Nothing's going to bring them back. Then we can do this to at least have a little piece of them here all the time.
The Libby and Abby Softball Park Fund is being managed by the Carroll County Community Foundation. You can mail a donation to P.O. Box 538, Delphi, Indiana 469230538. Online, www.cfcarroll.org. Click on Libby and Abby Softball Park Fund. One of the best gifts that you can offer is to call if you recognize that face or that voice, and give Delphi's daughters 1 minute. For the Call 6 investigators, I'm Rafael Sanchez on the Old Monon Bridge in Delphi.
They're out in one of the local parks in Delphi, Indiana, and they meet a monster. That's why it's different. That's why it's different.
I believe Abigail made our world a better place. Libby was a person that made it a point to make people feel good.
This evil may have struck us, right here in the heart of Indiana and right in our home. There's a lot of good people out there.
Every day we wake up and we pray that today is the day.
It's a great video, really good video. I appreciate that, Salty. All right. Sorry. Trying to bring that down. There we go. Let me put a link here for Slueth when she comes back, so she doesn't have to go digging. There we go. Okay. Back to where I was at. Mama Libra Scales says, Joe, I know I was able to be there in attendance on the edge of my seat from everything discussed. I'll bet. I absolutely bet. JC, 13 and 14 were the ages.
Yeah, I mean, it's that piece right there really got me today when I was watching it.
That's very touching. Yes, I do agree.
Yeah.
Very, very touching.
I've seen, reviewed a lot of things on these girls, and I just never, it's just, of course, all crimes and everything that happens is bad, but, what happened to them in those woods by whoever's hands is horrible.
That's an understatement in my opinion. It's beyond horrible.
Yeah, it is beyond horrible. It was, brutal.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So where did you want to move to next with this, Salty? Where did you want to hit on? What did you want to hit on next, I should say?
Really, I was just going to go over the blood spatter expert's testimony because it contains information about the alleged F on the tree. But Joe, are they calling it an upside down L now versus an F? I'm a little confused. Do you know? Well, when we review it, you'll see what I'm talking about, Dago. You remember? So, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're okay.
So there's an image, and I don't have it right now to show you guys, but there's a marking on a tree, and there's dispute if it's blood spatter, a handprint, or a F that mimics a rune. So there's speculation because nobody has seen it. So we have to go by what we've been told and heard. And in court, though, when they went over it, it appears they're calling it an L. So it was just interesting. Yeah, this is it, Dago. Go ahead. Now, this is a channel called Turbo Time. And she has done a recap on some of the testimony that over the hearing. And this is one of her pieces there. So you guys can go over and give her a like on her channel. It's I don't remember the ad. It's Turbo Time. I know that. Turbo Time 7, maybe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that is what it is.
Okay.
All right, so let me show you guys something real fast right before I start this, just to kind of, hold on, to kind of clarify what Salty was talking about here. Excuse me very much. Yes. Okay, so one second. Hold on a minute, guys. Okay. Nope, wrong one. What the hell am I doing here? Hold on, everybody. I'm moving my screens all over the place and making a big mess here. Damn it. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay. So what she's talking about, so that everybody gets a, are you kidding me? A clear picture is, here we go. Right here. I mean, it's not super clear, but it'll give you an idea of what she's talking about. There was a tree that was laying behind, or that was standing behind where the girls were found, allegedly. On that tree, you see this marking right here. This looks like an F. It's a runic marking, or I can't remember. I think it's Ansuz or something like that is what it's pronounced as or stands for. If you look, this is what supposedly was on the tree behind them. Now they're saying that it looks like an L, I guess. Just so you know what she's talking about and nobody's confused. That's
it's, we don't know what it is. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Dago, Mr. Steve has done some testing with blood spatter on the tree.
Right.
He took a deep dive into it. We'll have to get his links. I'll go get the links to those videos for the next presentation we do, because it's the evidence stuff, you know. But so this is the marking that was allegedly on the tree that we were all told that mimicked the letter F in the room. But this is what the testimony is from the expert, and like Joe confirmed, he did say it was to him it was an upside down L.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it was an L. I think that means that was the shape. But if it was an upside down L, what does that mean?
Agreed. Absolutely. So just again, just trying to give you guys a visual of something that we're telling you, because sometimes it's hard for me to hear something and not understand it without seeing it. So that was all. Thank you, Paula. Get the membership. I didn't see who got it. Congrats. Welcome to the sauce. And thank you very, very much, Miss Paula. All right. And back to the other one now. Sorry. Oh, good gracious. Come on now. All right. Here we go. Oh, for Christ's sake. Hold on, guys. My computer's doing strange things to me right now. My apologies. Let's try this one more time. Good Lord. Okay, that's better. Just want to make sure you guys
So, Joe, this expert was just recently brought in and took a look at stuff, right?
Can you hear? Go ahead, Joe.
Yep, I'm here.
I'm on Thursday.
Did you hear what she said?
Repeat.
Oh, can you hear me? Oh, so this expert was just brought in recently for the defense. I mean, for the yeah. Is he for the defense or prosecution? I can't remember.
No, he's a prosecution witness, Major Cicero, and he was brought in February of 2024, which is 7 years after the fact. So McClelland actually made a little bit of a deal about how Dawn Permuter didn't actually go on site to perform any type of experiments or anything, and this guy did, but it's 7 years after the fact. So
right.
We all know
and
what happens in the woods in Indiana after 7 years. Yeah,
absolutely.
So he goes in and does his testing 7 years later, but they're complaining that she never did. But this lady that he just spoke of, how do you pronounce her last name? Permuter, is that? I don't want to mispronounce it. Yeah, she is. I looked at her, and I don't want to misquote what she is, but she sits in a very informative place. I forget the group they're called. I got the link. I'll have to send it to you, Dago, for our next shows. I do want to go over her history as well, because I always like to look at where these experts come from, when they came, all those things, because that matters. Because when it comes down to a lot of these cases, it's between the experts. Now, which one do I want to believe? Which one's more convincing, more educated, whatever, So I did look at her credentials, and she's very good at what she does. She knows her shit. But I don't know that this guy doesn't yet either. But 7 years is crazy.
Yeah, because 7 years, ain't nothing going to be the same in those woods after 7 years. Sorry.
But why would the prosecution need to bring him in 7 years later if they're so convinced that was it to dispute? Was it just to dispute the F tree? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Yep, 100%.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So this is the blood splatter scenario, guys. It's kind of interesting. So if you need anything, help with hearing it or anything, let me know. And I'd rather you listen than me read it, but it's a lot to read. So
well, she narrates it, so we're good.
Right.
At 7:08 p.m. on Thursday, August 1st, 2024, Day 3 of the pre-trial hearings for Richard Allen, the man accused of killing Liberty German and Abigail Williams in Delphi, Indiana, on February 13, 2017, Special Prosecutor James Luttrell led a masterful direct of his state witness, Major Pat Cicero. Cicero respectfully and methodically testified as to bloodstain and pattern analysis for this crime, including the movement at the scene of Libby and what he described as the upside-down L blood pattern on the tree. Cicero is currently with the LaPorte County Sheriff's Office and was chief of detectives prior to his current rank of major. He specializes in crime scene reconstruction, forensic entomology, overall crime scene analysis. Cicero has been involved in setting standards for numerous courses in crime scene reconstruction. He's involved in many conferences on this specialized subject and teaches at the Indiana Law Enforcement Crime Scene Center and the National Forensic Academy in Tennessee. At the Forensic Academy in Tennessee, he conducts an intensive 10-week course in bloodstain pattern analysis, for which he has 20 years' experience. He has testified in more than 30 cases as an expert on the subject. On February 12, 2024, Cicero was requested to provide expert analysis for this case. He reviewed numerous crime scene pictures as taken by 5 to 6 different law enforcement investigators at the crime scene, the post-mortem report, lab reports, diagrams, photos from both the crime scene and the autopsies on the girls. Luttrell entered all of this as State Exhibits number 36 and 37 and requested it be kept under seal. Cicero went to the crime scene as well, accompanied by retired FBI agent Rich Davies, which we heard about in previous testimony. He took time to review and understand the crime scene. Cicero physically examined items of evidence, clothing discovered near Abby. Without getting too graphic, Cicero conducted a review of the blood on the items from the crime scene. Luttrell enters exhibit number 30. It's an overall picture of the tree with the decedents in the background. There's bloodstain on the ground, which he categorized as a pooling of blood and voluminous. There's a tree in the foreground. Luttrell enters exhibit number 31. It's a close-up of leaf litter with bloodstains. Please note, at this point of Cicero's testimony, I observed defense attorney Jennifer Auger holding up pictures from the exhibit. I could see several trees and a large area of the leaf litter. Luttrell enters exhibit number 33. It's a close-up of a tree, and there's bloodstains on the more northern part of the tree. Luttrell enters exhibit number 34. Scaling out of the bloodstain, upside down L shape. Cicero stated that the letter F is referenced frequently in the material of the investigation. Luttrell asked if it appeared to be a symbol F on the tree. Cicero responded no. It appeared like an upside down L. Cicero indicated that the purpose of using enhanced digitization of bloodstains was to view them easier. He understood why it said F, but what is missing is the second horizontal prong. Cicero agreed with Luttrell that it was a reddish or pinkish tint on the tree in the bark, and that there was a visual distortion of what was on the tree. Please note, Auger held up the photo, which I was again able to view. There was what appeared to be a scientific ruler across the top and along the left side of the page, beside the upside-down L bloodstain on the tree. Luttrell has Cicero look at exhibit number 36. It shows Abby and Libby. The left side of the photo has a large pooling of blood. He can clearly see discoloration to the west side of Abby and Libby. Cicero states that the northeastern part of the tree had an overall pattern that was 3.4 inches by 7 inches. Different patterns were noted. There were transfer bloodstains. There was a quantity of 6 individual droplets. There was transfer stains to the left of the upside-down L. Cicero indicated that the tree came in contact with another object, and energy was applied to the blood to cause spatter. Spatter is typically 1 to 4 millimeters in size. In this case, the spatter is 1 to 3 millimeters in size. The vertical portion of the upside-down L was caused by gravity. There was blood near the base of the tree, 4 feet from the base, 2 feet from the base, and a large pooling of blood. To the right, approximately 4 feet from the base, Cicero observed more transfer that was darker brown. It was red. A few feet to the west of Abby's foot, there was a pooling of blood. Luttrell asked if the other blood was in between the blood at the base of the tree and the pooling. Cicero described a quantity of 2 smaller pools that accumulated. They lacked drips or other descriptives. The areas were much smaller amongst the leaf litter. Luttrell asked Cicero about the analysis of the blood on Libby, and if he studied the pictures and read the reports. Cicero stated that all of the blood originated from Libby. After he studied dozens of pictures, a brief overall description, he analyzed the tree, he analyzed the base of the tree, and he analyzed the large pool of blood. Cicero agreed that the only blood of Abby was immediately adjacent to her. Cicero shockingly testified that Libby was mobile at the time of her death. He observed transfer on the bottom of Libby's foot. Northeast of the tree, there was a large amount of blood. Libby's body was dragged through the pool and there was transfer to the back of her leg and calf. Libby was dragged through the large pool to her final resting place. Libby's left arm was left in a raised position, which was consistent with Libby being dragged. Libby was mobile and moving due to the indicators. At some point, Libby was in a sitting position because on her right thigh, there was a projected pattern and her blood was under pressure. The blood was ejected and subsequent flow patterns came out. The injury itself had to be over the thigh as the flow pattern was down her leg, and therefore Libby was most likely seated at the time. Libby was in the general location of where she was killed, but there was some movement. The blood stain on her face indicated that her head was turned at one point. There was pooling accumulation. Most movement of her upper torso was a movement of her head from her upper body being lifted up at one point. Blood is a fluid. Her face and chin had flow pattern. Libby had lots of blood on both hands, and Cicero had seen this in his work hundreds of times. Given the wounds to her neck, her injuries were carotid arteries, and the jugular vein was compromised. There was lots of blood loss. Injuries to the neck and raising her hands was a natural reaction. Libby was mobile and the blood was flowing down her neck. Libby's arms and hands had voluminous amounts of blood. Abby did not have blood on her hands or sweatshirt. Luttrell asked if Abby was redressed after receiving the injuries. Cicero responded no. Cicero testified that Abby had clothing on at the time of her injuries: a gray sports bra, a black bra, a hoodie, and a tank top. There was heavy saturation to the clothing. She was wearing clothes at the time of her murder. There would have been a lot of blood transferred to her clothing as she was being dressed, and there wasn't any. Cicero was asked if smaller sticks would assist in concealing the body, and Cicero responded yes, especially the large tree limb. Auger objected to this line of questioning from Luttrell and indicated that what someone may or may not have seen across the creek is not Cicero's area of expertise in blood. And Cicero was never at the crime scene location in February 2017. OJ indicated that Dr. Kaur can testify to this, and she thinks it would be complete speculation. Luttrell countered with the fact that it was not speculation at all. Cicero had observed dozens and dozens of photographs. He could see from the pictures and could see an advantage to using sticks to conceal since he had visited the crime scene. Please note, during this line of questioning, Allen was shaking his head no. Cicero indicated that he could clearly see across the river and see a path when he went there. He said yes, he believed the light-colored skin could be camouflaged across the creek with the sticks. Luttrell asked Cicero to describe the results of Cicero's experiments with measurements and blood on the tree. Cicero had law enforcement draw his blood and put in numerous vacuum containers to conduct experiments. Primarily, he typically uses...
Sorry to interrupt, but real quick, I just curious, Joe, or anybody for that matter, but Joe, since you were there, like she just stated that during this process and this conversation that Allen was shaking his head no. What is your take on that? You okay there?
He's in chat, so I don't know if it's just an issue with the panel that he's got a problem with.
I heard him. I could hear his...
Yeah, I heard noises. Y'all good there, Joe? But I wondered the same thing, Dago.
Right. As soon as I heard that, I was like, well, wait a minute. Because I'm taking, like, I've seen notes with this too.
Yeah.
I always do. But just if you can hear me, Joe, you're all good. Okay. If you can hear me, like, what's your take on the fact that Richard Allen was shaking his head no as they were going through this scenario?
I don't know if that was just disbelief or was it no, that's not happened.
That's not what happened, or that's not
true.
I don't believe this, or what do you think?
I mean, it could be so many things emotionally. If you're sitting there being convicted or going to trial for this soon, it could have been I can't
curious.
believe I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of it. Because, defense attorneys normally, everybody I'll go back to this one, Casey Anthony, on that one, for how she's appeared to be in court, right? Very stoic and didn't move a muscle and didn't have any reactions. You are told by your defense attorneys to do just that, not to react.
Right.
Because they're going to be looking at you and looking for those reactions. The jurors look for those reactions, and you would think that not having a reaction sometimes would shed bad light on you, like in Casey Anthony's case, right? Appeared to show no emotion, not even, you know what I mean? So it's, I don't know.
Joe says, thank you, sir. Joe says that it was bizarre that he seemed to be somewhere between resisting the charges and protesting them, which is actually, that is bizarre.
Yeah, I can see that.
And that's what I'm trying to get a feel for his
psyche and where,
exactly.
where he's at, where he's sitting at with all this right now.
So somewhere between resisting and protesting. It's interesting.
And I'm having so you're telling me at some point Libby was in a sitting up position.
Right.
Why was she in a sitting up position?
Or was she trying to sit up and get away?
Well, she was sitting, so okay, if this guy's take on this is right, we don't know, we only know his version right now. So then they say she was up at one point moving around after she received her injuries.
Right.
But then we hear she's drugged through the puddle. How long was this child alive while she was suffering?
Well, I gotta wonder if she was
and why
trying to get away, and they were having a hard time holding on to her. Maybe, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's indications that may be just the case, that Libby wasn't going down without a fight. Not to say Abby did. I'm just saying Abby was like shy, you know, and I'm probably going to follow Libby's lead rather.
Well,
and who knows if one was subdued, did the other just like no and just try?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is
Yeah,
maybe the other one possibly may have been deceased already,
yeah,
or they were
yeah,
doing that to her. Somebody else was maybe doing that to her, and that could be why Libby was trying to fight to get to
yeah.
her. Who knows? But
Because
especially
the fact there was a lot of blood loss, and then she was drugged through it, so and that was up toward the tree, and you know, so she moved around for a few minutes
well,
and moved
and
away.
that's what I visualized. That's why I said that.
Yeah,
It sounds like she got away from a specific area that they drug her back to, maybe. If they drug her through that. You see what I'm saying? Um, I'm trying to put that into
so hard to figure out when you don't know. I mean, we know about the crime scene, but because I feel like if I'm gonna try to figure out who did it, I gotta put myself there for a minute.
that's what I was trying to
Hard
do.
to
Yeah.
visualize it, you know what I mean? It's hard to get a good visual on this, just especially when you only have bits and pieces of information, but we got to work with what we got to work with, right?
No, absolutely, absolutely. And sorry to interrupt this, guys, but I just
No,
was
go ahead.
really wanted to question that. Joe says Libby's blood pool evidence was the toughest on Thursday. She clearly fought back, and she clearly fought back for a few minutes. Her family is so strong to sit. Hey, I got to agree with that, Joe. Agreed. Yes.
Yeah, that was the worst part about it, them having to hear all that.
Agreed. That's horrible. That is horrible. What it do, KT? Thank you for joining us tonight. What does one may have been a sacrificial, if there is such a thing, another quality made the ceremony pass. But yeah, very possible, very possible. All right, off we go.
Animal blood to do these experiments, but due to time constraints, he used his own. Auger wanted to know if Cicero added coagulants to his blood samples, and he replied that he did not. Auger then asked about medications that Cicero was taking that would affect coagulation, and Cicero indicated that he took various medications, including hypertension medications, and they don't affect his coagulation. Cicero testified that blood has certain viscosity that appeals to physical laws and energy forces. Luttrell wanted to know if, in his opinion, Cicero thought that the blood pattern was painted or transferred onto the tree. The best explanation is that it was a transfer stain. It was not painted, Cicero testified. A handprint from a test subject was the most comparative. Cicero tried painting with fingers and also a stick. He didn't know if painting was a possibility, but he did concur that it was possible, yet it would have been very difficult. The person would have had to reapply several times to get the same volume that was on the tree and go back to the source to do so. The upside-down L was most likely made by the palm of Libby's left hand. There was fingerprint roundness. It should be noted that 1 to 1.5 inches to the right of the upside-down L, there was another transfer stain. When crystal violet was applied to the stain, we used the digits portion of the thumb, and that made a most accurate duplication of that stain. The edge of her thumb is most likely, not straight on. This stain is consistent with Libby's left hand and her thumb hitting that portion of the tree. Auger, objection. Luttrell, the DNA report, Your Honor. Auger, the DNA report doesn't have Libby. Judge Gall, overruled. I understand.
What? Hold on.
Liberty's blood came into
What DNA report? And so now it's Libby's handprint on the tree. What DNA report? To see if that blood on that tree matched Libby's DNA or someone else's, Abby's. Is that what it's about? Let's see. Yeah, 7, and using his own blood. Dago, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's no. After 7 years, it's nowhere near factual testimony. I'm sorry. And using your own blood, like that's just what the hell. I don't understand that, but whatever. That's
the DNA.
not.
The DNA. So the attorney says the DNA report doesn't have Libby, and then Judge Gull overruled. I understand. Okay, well, what actually just happened there, Joe? I don't know. I'm lost. Maybe I got to review that a little deeper, but that's weird to me.
Your Honor, the DNA report. The DNA report doesn't have Libby. Overruled. I understand. I don't. I'm glad you do, Gull, because I don't. What's up, Demon Dog?
Cicero literally drew his own blood to test his blood against the tree.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
Is that what that is? I would want to know what kind of meds you're on as well, because are you on blood thinners? These things matter. You know, he says he's not, but that's not very signed. Come on, that's not the best way to do that, I'm sure.
They said because of time constraints, this man knew he was coming to testify. They could have done something to make this.
Well, do you want your expert to be under that such time constraints? They do things that aren't going to be that can be taken apart by other experts. You know what I mean?
This could be taken apart by a non-expert, for Christ's sakes. This is not valid as far as I'm concerned. This is ridiculous.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. That's crazy. On we go.
It should be noted that 1 to 1.5 inches to the right of the upside-down L, there was another transfer stain. When crystal violet was applied to this stain, we used the digits portion of the thumb, and that made a most accurate duplication of that stain. The edge of her thumb is most likely, not straight on. This stain is consistent with Libby's left hand and her thumb hitting that portion of the tree. Auger, objection. Luttrell, the DNA report, Your Honor. Auger, the DNA report doesn't have Libby. Judge Gull, overruled. I understand. Luttrell, Liberty's blood came into contact with that tree. Would that explain all of the blood that you saw? Cicero responded that there was sensation cast off an inch away. He would expect to see directionality prior to contact. Spatter out there in force. The craters were rough on that tree. Auger, we know somehow there is a pool. Cicero, there were 3 small pools and 1 very large one. Libby herself had 3 cuts. Auger, their hand would likely or possibly be covered in blood. The killer. Cicero, depends what the assailant's actions are. Auger, his hand? Cicero, I made a mistake. A hand. Auger, someone had blood on their hand. It was transferred to a tree. Say, as an example, Brad Holder. Did you do any other analysis?
I know they go right. Wait.
Libby was 5'4".
Yeah.
That was bold.
I know. Let's do that again. Replay.
I made a mistake. Well, you can't make a mistake in this. Dang it. This dude is not an expert. I could have probably done a better job. Jesus, come on now. Someone had blood on their hand. It was transferred to the tree. Say an example. Brad Holder. Did you do any other analysis on the other hand? Libby was 5'4". Your subject, did they have a similar size to Libby's hand? Say a similar hand size to Brad Holder. I have no idea who that is. I can dip my hand in blood and drip it on the tree, correct? Yes. Libby was later moved. Cicero said, yeah, I'll play it for you guys, but this is kind of irritating me now. I'm a little bit pissed off. This is not, as far as I'm concerned, a viable expert. And God bless America. to go out there 7 years after the fact. Come on now.
Kind of half-assery, like the rest of the investigation, almost.
Absolutely half-assed. Come on, guys.
Your subject. Did they have a similar size to Libby's hand? Say, a similar hand size to Brad Holder? Cicero, I have no idea who that is. OJ, I can dip my hand in blood and drip it on the tree, correct? Cicero, yes. OJ, Libby was later moved? Cicero, yes. OJ, someone else moved her? Cicero responded, yes. OJ, she didn't move herself. Cicero replied, no. OJ, is it more difficult to move alive or dead, or if they are fighting? Cicero, the distance of the large pooling area was 70 feet away, maybe? That is how far Libby was moved. You can actually look in the photographs. Her head and neck would have been in the vicinity of the large pooling. Her buttocks and leg dragged.
Okay, hold on. So she was moved up to 70 feet away. There should have been severe drag marks at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hear nothing about that, nor did it have I.
You just, all you hear is drug through the pool of blood, and then you hear how, so that, if she ran away from the initial injury and someone lost a lot, it says it's all Libby's blood, these large pools. So she lost a lot of blood and then broke and ran anyway, and then they got her and brought her back. That's 70 feet.
Yeah. Joe said that they're 6 to 8. Wait a minute. I think she got up. It says she was sitting up and then she was up. Okay, so she must have sat up, stood up, and took off, tried to take off. They grabbed her, drug her back over 70 feet, which is drug her through the blood pools. That's a long distance away. So
that proves she tried to get away. And like Paula had a good comment a minute ago, if Libby reached up and grabbed her neck, her hands are covered in blood, according to what we're hearing. So if she had reached up and ran and stumbled, whatever, and put her thumb up on that tree, that hole, you're going to get more than just that edge of that little thumb. You're going to get like a whole hand.
Well, here's the problem with this, though. I was listening to that, and I'm right there with you, Paula, because here's the thing. I did hear them say that the surface of the tree was very rough and pitted. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're say your whole hand is covered with paint or blood, you're still only going to get, because of the terrain or the surface of the tree, you're only going to get a partial bit of that. So that does make some sense.
But I think there would be more. I feel like there would still be more of an impression than just this upside down L type.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do. You should have seen,
because that would have to be like a finger and. Think about how you'd have to hold your hand to make that type of impression if you were just falling up against it or grabbing it to stabilize yourself or whatever.
Well, it would have been like a cup a little bit, like she'd have grabbed it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to think about it. And so, isn't more than just your thumb going to touch it? Even if it don't get the whole handprint, like you're saying, because of the tree, the being cratery and the surface of the tree. It would get the tips of your fingers at least. You're going to be gripping.
Yes. And
I would think
the drag marks were 6 to 8 feet per the prosecution. So maybe they were dragging her and then actually picked her up at some point off the ground and put her back down. That makes sense. Thank you, Joe.
Well, yeah, that's crazy. 6 to 8. But still, I mean, that proves she got up and she. So if you have a gun and you got your victim trying to escape, what prompted you to eject a bullet? Where's the other person? Oh God, I got a lot of questions now. Okay, go ahead.
Wait a minute. Going back to what I wish Slueth was in here. Going back to what she said earlier, what if the situation was in effect at that point, okay? And whoever else was standing there at that point was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, this is too much, and backs up like, I'm done. And that's when Libby goes to get up to run away, and that you better do what I'm telling you to do with the gun thing is where
Oh God, yeah.
do you see it now?
Yeah, because when things are happening, it's kind of going fast. Things are happening, you know what I mean? And that what you're just describing, so I could see that.
That's what made me, because of her saying that earlier, I was like, that's a good idea. Wow, okay. Yes, Leslie, I know what you're talking about. Absolutely. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. I'm starting to build a bit of a visualization of the crime scene itself and the actions as they're taking place. This is why I keep doing this. That just because of what I said doesn't mean that's what happened. It's just a theory that it's a possibility based on something Sleuthy said earlier. On we go.
Through the large pool. There was staining on the leaves and on the back of her leg. Blood ran down her eye, across her face and chin. Her head was turned to the left. That would not be consistent with the blood on her face. However, she was picked up because of gravity. A person that was limp would allow these patterns to occur. Auger, can you identify the flow pattern alterations on her body, not her face? Her head was positioned different. Cicero, blood would not flow up her chin and over her face. Her right cheek primarily had blood. Blood does not defy gravity. It ran on her chin. Luttrell enters under seal. Cicero, the left side of Abigail Williams' neck, the blood was mostly on the hoodie. The flow patterns on Abby were not consistent with her final position. There's no conclusion to be made about Abby was completely nude on or about February 13th, 2017. Auger, she reads from a report. She could have had her gray and black bra on, her pink top on at the time. At some point, she was partially nude? Cicero, yes. Luttrell enters exhibit number 37, which is an aerial view with investigators and they're on a ladder. What percentage of Libby's body are covered by sticks? Cicero, maybe 3%? Please note, 3 or 30%? This number was unclear to me when I was taking my notes, but I do believe that Cicero stated 3%. Luttrell, and Abby? Cicero, similar. Auger, there were lots of leaves and sticks around to cover a body. There was a lot of chaos, right? It's impossible to recreate what happened given the data? Cicero, yes. Auger, have you ever seen sticks on bodies before? Cicero, once. There was a grid or a pattern putting objects to cover the person. They built a bridge for other sticks using sticks and leaves without fully covering up the body. Luttrell, nothing further. Auger, have you seen bodies that were buried? Cicero, yes, I bury them and I dig them up at the university in Tennessee. It was 8:20 p.m. on day 3, and this was the end of Major Cicero's testimony.
So, not much about Abby.
No, not at all.
So what was a little, according to his interpretation and looking at the photos, I guess, a little blood around the hoodie?
Right. Did they get into Abby anymore that maybe wasn't recorded or that we didn't hear?
I don't know. I honestly don't know if that was his full testimony. That was just part of what she did. You know, I wish I knew more. And that's what I'm saying. It's been so damn aggravating with these hearings because of the fact that you are having to take like that. And I appreciate what she just did, but some of the things she's done, then Deb's notebook is done. I know Bob Mata has talked about what he observed in court. Joe can speak on what he observed, the day he was there. And it's appreciative that they're all doing it, but it's aggravating at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of the hearings that I don't know what was said in a couple of the hearings. So we're still trying to piece everything together, and I know there's still a bunch of notes. I got some that we didn't get to review earlier, but we'll do that on the next show. But they're just notes from somebody else who was also there.
Right.
So, like I said, they're all bringing their own parts of information. So I don't know if we'll find out more. Well, maybe we will through the more hearings and documents. That's the only way we're going to find out stuff anyway. Kind of like with Idaho, we only know what we find out in those documents.
Right. Absolutely.
And we didn't know much about this crime scene except for what was leaked in those photos and what was talked about a little bit in the other filings until this one is given more. Because you remember a while back, we kept hearing things like there was no blood at the scene.
Right.
There was no blood. The girls' bloods were drained and all this stuff. But that's not the case if this is accurate. Well, it is for Libby, there's blood. I don't know much about where all Abby's is at, but so the defense is also casting doubt on whether or not Abby was taken away and brought back.
Mm-hmm.
So that was also spoke of in these hearings. So there's still a lot we got to finish gathering, but I do know that there has been a request put in for the transcripts for the 3 days worth of hearings. And the reply back was yes, but it's going to take a while to get them because there are other transcripts ahead of that have to be transcribed. But the cost is astronomical for what it is. It's insane.
I'm sure.
I was like, whoa, are you gotta be kidding me? But I feel like it'll be gotten somehow.
Somebody will get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it will be because they'll feel like it's worth it, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. So we are trying, people are trying, I should say, not me directly, but people are trying to get those transcripts because that's how we've had to get other information on other hearings with this case is through the transcript process. So
we work it out usually one way or another. This one is important to me that we do figure it out though, because I really want to see and know this stuff. So just to give you guys an example of what we just heard, this is how they're trying to explain that happened. Okay. See how his hand is? This is what they're saying that let me see if it shows it here. That right there, that looks like, I swear to you, that's an F. There's a line down and then a line there too. But anyway, they're saying that the way this guy's hand is on the tree there is what this is. And that's what we just heard testimony to.
Wouldn't there be more blood out around the straight line part of the F? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I just find that
looks like all the lines look way too thin for that to be a handprint. I'm sorry.
Thin and very straight lined.
And a lot longer.
I don't know. It's odd. I'm no blood spatter expert, but
that guy wasn't no expert as far as I'm concerned. I'm sorry.
He wasn't a oh, I'm sorry, I yawned. I came out of nowhere. He wasn't a very impressive one.
Not to me, no.
Not if you're gonna abandon your normal testing procedures and go with I'm just gonna use my blood because I'm in a hurry. Yeah, that's sketchy. That can be disputed. That's kind of good because it can be disputed. It's not good for the prosecution. I mean, it's not. You know what I mean?
Here's another question I have. If it was, I just don't know about it. But why was this section of this tree not taken?
I believe there were.
This whole chunk of tree was taken out of there?
Oh, no. Photos of the tree were taken.
They should have taken the whole bit of the
There
tree.
was something about that a while back that came up about them taking that or not versus not taking it. God, there's been so much with this case that I would have to go back and review about.
Right.
And Cynthia might have some insight on that one as well, or Joe. But I feel like there was something about that came up because everybody tries to pick apart all this evidence or lack of. Like, so for instance, if you bring up in certain circles or certain channels, and everybody has the right to discuss their options and theories and what they believe, but there's certain things that you bring up, like this F. There's no way that's a painted F. There's no way it's this and that. How do you know that?
Right.
It doesn't look like a handprint blood spatter thing to me, but I'll need to know that I need to really see the photos they actually took versus what's out there that we think, because these are all recreations.
Of course. I'm going to show you guys this. We all see our friend Mr. Steve here and Chris with Mob Crew. This is, I believe, this is what when Steve does his splatter situation there. So I'm going to play this real fast with the audio so you guys can hear what they're doing. This is why I'm showing you this, because I cannot accept what that quote unquote expert said. Salty's right. If you look at this close, it's closer now. These lines are too narrow for it, in my opinion, to be somebody's hand on that tree. Do you know what I'm saying by that? If you put your hand on a tree like this, or any of, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, the sound. I'll fix the sound and we'll go back a little bit. But anyway, if you do this, okay, and my understanding is we heard it that her hands were covered in blood. If she stands up and does this, that's all that showed up. I even argued the point with the terrain on the tree is very rough and rigid. That's fine, but it still should have been more than just this line and that line and that.
And that's very different when Mr. Steve, when you guys watch this again in a sec with Mr. Steve's example here, the one on the right with the dark black with the dots, that's an image drawn that apparently was supposed to mimic what this alleged F looked like. So now we've gone from this to an upside down L and a straight line. And I'm sorry, I don't
either. It doesn't make any sense at all.
And this may not mean nothing. It may just be blood spatter that ended up in a weird pattern. But that's what Steve was testing.
That's it. So. Exactly. That's 100% what he was doing. But hopefully I fixed the audio, guys. Let me know if it's still out. Right. It could be blood splatter, Paula. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Test, which involves them usually testing different scenarios, replicating the environment and crime scene to understand more about what likely happened to a victim. We've seen this in court TV and in TV shows like Dexter. Before the leaked picture of the F tree was released, Steve was already doing control tests on trees and various objects to show what different interactions with blood in an object like a tree would look like. So as we break down Steve's theory on what he believed may have happened, let's take a closer look at the F tree itself. At face value, looking at it from afar, it does look like an F, but only when moving in closer and also using a tool to highlight the blood better, we can see that although the vertical line is solid, it appears the two horizontal lines that would make an F do not connect.
Okay, but see, there's the problem. They're still there. Even if they don't connect, that's not an L you got. What is this then? He's claiming that that wasn't there, but we're looking at it right now, aren't we?
Yeah, and you see the little dots that are showing up around it, which is lines with the spatter. But
Absolutely.
I don't know what the hell that is.
I'm not sure, Doodle. It's a good question though, but that's kind of going against what this expert is saying.
Oh yeah,
He's saying this doesn't exist and it's circled. We're looking at it. It's there. So what the hell are you talking about, fella? Just saying. God, this irritates me. Anyway, moving on. It does look like a splatter. I can agree with that. It's not connected right. Okay, if you look at this, it is in the shape of an F. There's the long part here. There's the top and there's the middle. They're not connected. Great. I get it, but it's still in the form of what would be like an F. Okay. It could just be a coincidence and it was splattered that way. That's absolutely possible. I do agree with that.
because I don't. But yeah, because I can't say that it appears to be painted on either.
No, not at all. No, it does look like, though, if you look at the main line.
Yeah, the main line.
It looks as if it could have been pressed in. Yes. Not painted, but like something.
Yeah.
What do you call that when it's like impression, like an impression? You
Like
know what
a
I mean?
stamp? Yeah, like a stamp. That's crazy. But yeah.
I'm trying to think of words.
I had the wrong term, a stamp. I mean, come on, really.
Well, here's the thing, Paula. If it was put there purposely, there is a runic symbol that looks to be, and I'll show it to you. It looks somewhat like an F, and that's why they came up with this idea to begin with. Okay.
Yeah.
Based on the trees, or the sticks, the way they were positioned on the bodies, and the bodies were positioned with the one arm up and down and all that. That's where that came from. Because if you look at it, just looking at it now, it does have that resemblance to that runic symbol.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if the prosecution investigated early on what was this. Is it possibly a painted rune? But it did come out in the Frank's motion about this painted F tree.
Right.
But whether or not it was painted on with blood or a handprint, and now this expert is claiming that it was or splatter, right? This guy's claiming that it was a handprint of Libby's.
Yes, and that's absolutely correct too, Wildfire. That would be why, because of the surface being as rough as it is, that these things are not connected. And here's another scenario, guys.
Oh, definitely.
That I was thinking of. Okay, this is a tree. It could be a dried up tree. The bark gets old. Pieces of this bark will flake off if touched.
Yeah.
Does it? So let's imagine that maybe it was put there on purpose in that sip, and that there were pieces of this bark that were there that are not there after the fact because they fell off. Okay, it's very possible that these pieces of bark fell off as they were doing that. If it was done purposely, is all I'm saying. Just keep that in mind. I could walk out to my backyard. I have a tree right now that looks kind of like this, where the bark is all dried up, and if you rub your hand across it, it'll fall off because it's dried out. Do you see what I'm saying? That's possible too. If they would be on the ground, and if you don't know that you're looking for it, you're not looking for it. Is all I'm saying. And if there's more blood at the base of the tree, like they said there would, say these pieces fell off the tree to the ground into that pool of blood, how the hell are you going to tell? You know what I mean? I'm just saying there's a couple of different options you can look at this with, is all I mean.
Yeah, definitely. You really can.
Right.
And I don't even know if the experts are going to figure out what that, how that got there exactly. They're going to be disputing it.
I want to know how this guy got in his mind that this is from somebody's hand on a tree.
Yeah, because it don't look like it to me.
Not at all. If anything,
if I was a juror, I would have a hard time getting there that it's Either one, really. I would be very conflicted.
Agreed. I absolutely agreed. All right, I'll shut up. Go. I have to argue points when I feel them. I'm sorry. I
Oh
have
yeah.
to.
No, you're good.
Especially in this case. And I have to bring things to like I said, sitting here looking at this and how dry this tree is, it's very possible that these pieces of bark fell off and they're just
Oh
not
yeah,
broken.
'cause that.
That's all.
Yeah, well, we just when we're kids, we were growing up. You walk up. It's a game. You go up and you get the bark off the trees. This shit comes right off.
Yeah, and it does not, that does not look like a handprint to me either. And
Mm-mm.
it is definitely Libby's blood. So whatever they did or however it was done, that's a fact. So on we go.
And when taking an even closer look, there are patterns we can see. Notice at the top the vertical line is thinner, where the bottom is more broader. This is consistent with making contact with a bloody hand or digit. After making contact, the blood would run down and it would broaden due to gravity. The closer you look, you'll notice many areas have a vertical pattern to them, right here, and even right here. So what could have happened to create this pattern? Combining the knowledge that the two girls were likely dragged and staged after death would suggest that they were likely killed somewhere nearby. Combining all the clues, it seems that Libby was fatally attacked near the F tree. Libby was attacked with a bladed weapon in the neck area. Steve believes she was likely attacked near this F tree, and it's possible she may have received multiple blows to her neck. After one of these attacks, Libby would have likely made contact with the tree to try to stabilize herself, perhaps even making more than one contact with the tree involving her bloody hand or digits, which resulted in making this pattern. Both victims were approximately 5'4" in height. It would make sense that Libby would likely make contact around the 4-foot area from the base of the tree using her hand. I'm 6'3", nearly a foot taller, and if I were to lean up against a tree, it would be around the 5-foot area of the tree. Sometime during this attack, the blood spatter near the base of the tree would have been produced. This could have came from another attack as Libby was on the ground. So using control test and knowledge from the crime scene, according to Steve, this is a plausible scenario as to how the pattern on the tree was produced. If you would like to hear more about what was said in the live show by Steve, please check out this link at the top right-hand corner. Also, it's down in the description as well as the link to Steve's YouTube channel. Although it is tough to describe what happened to an innocent teenager in a terrible tragedy, I think it's better to educate viewers using science and knowledge of the crime scene and using someone who is familiar with crime scenes, where we produce a likely scenario that is more grounded in reality compared to the alternative. I really hope you got something.
What's the alternative?
Don't know.
A little bit of arrogance. Still, I can see that. But that's if your hand is going sideways into the tree.
Right. Absolutely.
And
Well,
I can also see her touching it multiple times to bracing herself.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Hey,
But I
Jen.
still feel like there might be a little more. I don't know.
That's very true too. Welcome, Jen. Says that Abby could have tried to write the first name of the attacker. Usually it is a friend, as per sexual partner or family member that attacks out of rage. Yeah, I don't know about this situation, but no, I know what you're talking about, Jen.
So if you consider the timeline of the Snapchat going out at I don't have my notes exactly to whatever it was, and then so Derek arrives to get the girls by 3:30. They're realizing the girls are not answering the phones. So within an hour, they're in the woods, down the hill, across the pond, up to Ron Logan's property. And is it all just happening so fast? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And Libby tries to get away. All these things are happening. So then you got to hurry it. I don't know. I feel like there was some time spent out there, though.
I would,
because they didn't start searching until close to 5:30 that evening. They did preliminary. When I say they, the family were calling each other, going up and down the street, searching the right there in the immediate part of the trails before they realized these girls really are missing. They got a hold of Abby's mom. She had been at work. The girls are missing. By this time, they're realizing there is something wrong because Libby is not answering that phone. So there had been a little bit of time, I just don't know how long that person or persons stayed in the woods with them. If you go by the witnesses' statements, I forget what time Betsy Blair thinks she sees the guy going down Highway the 300 with the muddy and bloody clothes. I need to get that time. That's important to have on the timeline. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to always go back to the damn timeline when certain things are going to make me think about that every single time, and that was one of them. I don't know.
Gotcha.
So this is the F rune, right? What it could mean.
Yep, this is the Fihu rune in the younger Futhark and Futhark alphabet. I can never say it right. Alphabets look like an F and represents the F and V sounds. The name Vehu means mobile wealth and is related to the English word fee, which originally meant sheep or cattle. But that is where they got the idea of what that was possibly on the tree. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how they got that it was an F either. I mean, I don't clearly see as it being either.
No,
Do you know
but
what I don't.
just that because it reminds you of the shape of an F.
No, I mean, I understand. I understand why because it could tie into your crime scene, right? You already have sticks placed on the girls, allegedly in shapes of runes.
Yeah.
Then you have this painted F on the tree. But me looking, if that's the actual F tree we were looking at, it's hard for me to get there. That was a painted on F.
Mm-hmm. I get it. I got it. There's another meaning behind this too. This Fehu that I brought up when I did a whole show on this whole the runic stuff and all that. And Doodle's right. She threw it in the chat, I think, where it means God. So there's another version of this too. And again, guys, understand that whoever these people are, if this is what they were doing, they took it and twisted it into their own version of it. And therefore, in turn, it's hard to actually figure out what it could be because we know what it's supposed to mean if that's what they were doing, but they're doing something different. So you can't really kind of define
Well,
it.
when we go to reviewing some of that Westfall's interview, you're gonna learn a lot. Let's just put it that way. You're gonna learn a lot.
Yeah, that was
about how real that stuff really is and how real it was to him and Holder.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. I just wish it hadn't got so crazy. And it's not that it was actual part of the investigation. I can't ignore that,
Oh no, I agree. I do
It'd
agree.
be easier to ignore it if it was like totally made up in rumor, just that. But when you start bringing out, documents to back that up, and people that were involved in those types of activities, I guess what they're saying, but what because the prosecution is aware that we all know about their little investigation into these people, but they're saying there's nothing to tie them to the crime scene. And so then the only thing you have of Richard Allen is this unspent bullet. And people who say he was there, but it's not so much the witnesses that claim he was there, because apparently those witnesses didn't mean much because nobody recognized the sketch for 5 years.
Exactly.
But Richard Allen placed himself there.
He himself stated he was there. He said, "Yep, I was there."
And it wasn't like they approached him and asked. He told them. He contacted them.
Yep.
There was twice, I think, that they did a follow-up. So he told them when they came out with, this is what happened at the bridge. Anyone there with any information, if you were there present, let us know. Well, he did just that.
Yep.
So that's how they knew he was there. But they buried that tip, or the tip got buried. Now, Delphi, they first came out and said it was a misfiling on the FBI's part in their system. And the FBI came back and said, that's not true. So then they have come out and said, well, it was actually when we went back to the beginning and went back through all those tips we received. Lo and behold, we ran across this tip that said, I was there that day and here's what I was wearing. And here's what time I was there. And then they're like, oh, this matches Bridge Guy by what he was wearing.
Exactly.
So now we're going to go get a search warrant for his house and see if he's got a gun that matches this bullet we've been sitting on for 5 years. Is that really what happened? Because that's allegedly exactly what happened. I don't understand.
I don't either, honestly.
Because if you're so hard and heavy investigating Klein and Logan and looking in the nations and the other couple of guys and the Holder and all these people, why were you not looking for the guy that gave you the tip that he was there, and you really literally described what he was wearing was the same thing that your Bridge Guy was wearing?
Yeah.
How do you miss that? If you did, if that's what happened and you missed it and he is the guy, shame on you.
Oh yeah,
100%. All this bullshit in between.
100%.
Damn.
Yeah, ma'am, 100% for sure. Absolutely. How long were we live, Salty, on your side before it went down?
I started at 8. I don't even remember, dude. It's
2 hours.
Yeah.
And we're
Yes, it was a minute. So
so here's what I'm gonna do, guys, because I'm way too into this now. So I'm gonna have to bring this to a close. I have a doctor's appointment in the morning if I can get
yeah, I gotta get up in the morning too. My grandbaby's got go meet the teacher session, and so
it's 1 a.m. now, so I have to get to bed to get to this. But I'm way too into this now. So I don't have no babysitting tomorrow, and I told him I can't babysit tomorrow. I said, I'm sorry, you got to figure it out, because I wanted to be here early this afternoon. So tomorrow afternoon, once I get back from my doctor's appointment, which will be, I won't be there that long, hoping around 1 or so, I plan on going live and maybe picking this up with some. Are you available at that point, by the way? Do you know?
I won't be on Thursday or Friday during the day. There's no way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to do my stuff in the evenings, but you can go ahead and run some stuff. Go ahead and start the Keegan Klein stuff if you want, and look at things like that, because that was the early part of the investigation. After really Ron Logan was looked at first, and there's really nothing to tell. I mean, you can look at that stuff because it's important. Because his property was searched. And all of that, and there's the court TV interviews, the Robert McDonald interviews with him. He takes you out to his property and shows you where they were found. So it's good to start there and go into Klein, and you'll be great.
That's what I'll show you guys, that Keegan Klein, Daniel Nations, who he was, because there's a lot of people that just show you these names early on before we even got anywhere near who Richard Allen was. Okay, that way you'll understand all that. So that'll just be some catching up stuff there.
I'll be listening in chat. You know that I'll be out busy running around, but I'll be in the car. I'll be working.
Absolutely.
For them, I guess I will be. It depends, but that's the plan. But yeah, I'll be definitely in the car listening and chatting when I can. And I don't be all dangerous and talk to y'all while I'm driving. I only do it red lights or stop signs. Gosh.
But yeah, I won't bring up none of the deep, heavy stuff that I just want to show you guys the basics of the very beginning so that you understand that stuff and that needs to be done. So, because anything that's worth really digging in, I want her to be here with me for it. and others possibly too, that like we did today. So, but I'm so into this now. I don't want to back out of this. So I just
and we've been wanting to. We were intended to go through the early suspects like that to give you the backstory on it.
Yes,
But the Ron Logan stuff is good to review because you'll get a look at the terrain, and then we're going to be also, if we do it again tomorrow night, or if it will be like Saturday before I can do anything in the daytime, but we're going to give some video of the whole entire area and let you guys really see the end of that bridge and down that hill and things like that. So we got a lot left to review. And we appreciate you guys coming in, and thank you all for the ones that went over and liked my channel. And we were live earlier I needed a break, so we were watching a video, and I went out to get a cup of coffee, and I come back in, and my cat is coming out from behind the screen and knocked my whole thing. I was just, I got knocked off stage.
The kitty sabotaged it all. So yes.
So we came over. Dago hooked us up, and we all ran over here. And so, but it was something Dago and I were presenting together anyway. So
yes, absolutely. Well, but that's why I made sure I typed in the title that Salty Slueth presents. It was with me as her guest. She was one that was presenting it. So please understand that. Anybody else that didn't do it yet, if you guys will, right there, Miss Paula dropped the link again. Please go over and check out Salty's channel. Subscribe to that. Like the video that she has up called Indiana versus Allen. Like that one, please, if you will. Subscribe if you didn't, and I really do appreciate it, as does she. But yeah, guys, tomorrow early afternoon, I'm going to bring in some of the stuff from the very beginning with the early on suspects that were eliminated, or however you want to call it at that point. Because you never know, they could have all been involved or none. It does. I just saying, I want you to know all the other names that you don't know, because I know a lot of you guys don't. I'll show you that stuff and talk about some of that with Ron Logan, his property, blah blah blah, all that. But all the good stuff we're gonna save for Miss Salty here to be back in here with us like this, because it's the only way I'm comfortable doing that like that. But I think that's gonna do it. That was Sleuthy's link, the first one. Where was? Oh, that is Sleuthy's link. I'm sorry. I looked at, my eyes are tired, guys. I'm sorry. Can somebody put Salty's link in here, please? Of course, you can subscribe to Sleuthy as well, because she's got a lot of stuff too.
Anyway, thanks again, guys. I appreciate everybody coming in and learning about Delphi with us. There's just been a lot with this case, and so we're trying to do it fair, but at the same time, we got a lot of questions, so bear with us. We'll get through it, hopefully.
There's a lot to it, so it's going to take some time. Just please have the patience, please. And I appreciate, there it is. Thank you, Paula. I appreciate you guys having the patience and wanting to know about it. That's the big thing for me. I really appreciate that. So, because I've been wanting to
have a good night, everyone.
Yes. Have a good night, Salty. Get some sleep. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And thanks again for being here and for doing this. Everybody else in chat, guys, you are amazing. Thank you for going over there and following us over here. I do appreciate you guys very much for that. Supporting this, again, wanting to know about this. Thank you, Paula. Mods, thanks for doing what you do so amazingly well. I appreciate you very much. The Blue Crew is the Blue Crew. Everybody else, guys, don't forget to love yourselves, love each other, and don't change a thing. You guys are absolutely amazing. I appreciate you so very much. Anybody that did donate to the channel in any way, shape, or form, God bless. We don't ever expect that, you guys, but we do appreciate it more than you know. So thank you for that. Besides that, guys, much love to every one of you. Please have a great night, and God bless, folks. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.